Wrap-Up starts now.
Yes, it does. Right here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson with you as the Warriors get the win in a thriller. What a game tonight in Oklahoma City. 141-139 is the final. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570 as the Warriors are improved to 5-1 and 4-0 on the road as they outscore the Thunder in the fourth quarter 35-33, and they wind up winning this game in thrilling fashion. 2 consecutive games now for the Warriors where they hit the game winner with 0.2 of a second left on the clock, and just a hell of a job for the Warriors, again, battling down the stretch, getting enough big stops and enough execution. What a drive by Steph Curry there in the closing seconds for the layup that initially was wiped out on what was deemed to be an offensive basket interference, and then everybody going crazy as to what happened. Did Draymond touch the rim? He did. Touching the rim is allowed if it doesn't impact the ball going through the net. Then you've got Josh Giddey, who grabbed the net pretty clearly, but the call on the floor was that it was an offensive basket interference. So once they go to replay, you don't know what's going to happen. It's pretty clear that Draymond did grab the rim, but did that impact the shot? Well, the officials come back and they explain that it didn't impact the shot. I didn't hear Giddey referenced. I know people are going crazy on social media tonight about Giddey grabbing the net. I didn't hear Giddey when the official came to the podium, and I know the NBC Bay Area feed cut out of the tail end of the explanation. I had the Oklahoma City feed, which caught, I thought, the full explanation. Regardless of what happened, I think the Warriors caught a break in the fact that the officials got together and they wound up counting it. All in all, though, it's a fair result because Giddey clearly grabbed the net, which is a goaltend. Draymond did touch the rim, which there's a difference between touching the rim and grabbing the rim. Did the touch or the grab impact the shot? Referees deem no. Again, all in all, Curry's shot went in real time. It looked like you couldn't tell either of the potential interference plays had happened. So all in all, offsetting penalties, count the basket. It's fair, and as that goes, and the Warriors wind up walking out of Oklahoma City with their fourth consecutive road victory here to begin the season, and the Warriors have their fifth consecutive win overall after dropping the opener. They go to Sacramento and win. Houston and the Pelicans come back, win the thriller at Chase on Wednesday night against the Kings, and now they make it in what was really an offense only type of a game, at least until the final 4 minutes. They're able to walk out of there and earning a victory. And I think, the call at the end and just the result at the end, the Warriors' ability to execute at the end of the game, I think it's another telltale sign as to the fact that this 2023-24 season is much different than last year's 2022-23 season. So when you look at it, just the fact that the officials get that call correct, and just the fact that it works out in the Warriors' favor. I feel like last year, and I think this was part of what I put out on Twitter, and people were coming at me crazy because I said I thought the Warriors caught a break in the fact that after that thing was reviewed, it wound up going in the Warriors' favor after the call on the floor went the way that it did in terms of the basket interference. A lot of that is just the Warriors in close games last year, especially on the road. It seemed like whatever weird possible thing could go against him went against him. And I think to this year so far, in a couple of close games, one at Chase and the other one tonight, the Warriors are getting those little breaks. The Warriors are making those plays that are solidifying themselves as far as earning those kinds of breaks. And look, Steph Curry just spectacular at the end. Not enough shots maybe for Curry down the stretch, but they got Curry the most important shot in an isolation situation at the end, and he was able to deliver. So a lot to like from this game to react here on a Friday night. Warriors fans all riled up. The thrill of victory and feeling good about this team is, wow, the Thunder have a lot of young talent, and the Warriors were out shooting what I thought in the first half was kind of an underwhelming performance in a lot of other areas. But when you run through it, the Warriors able to hit 13 three-pointers in the first half, which was impressive. And the shooting, to me, was what allowed the Warriors to lead 38-33. Tonight, really out-shooting other mistakes. Lack of defense. I think at times the Thunder were putting their head down and just attacking the cup relentlessly, especially in the third quarter, to the tune of 39 points. Warriors gave up the most points they'd given up in a quarter here in the first week and a half of the season. But the shooting was able to allow the Warriors to play a majority of the first half from a position of the lead. They wind up a couple at the end of the first half. The game ends up tied into the third quarter. Thought the Warriors were in position to really have that third quarter defensively hurt them a lot more than it did. And this is another night where you look up and down the box score. And it's a lot of little contributions. I mean, it's big contributions when you look at Stephen Curry, and he goes for 30 points and 8 boards and 7 assists and the game winner with 0.2 of a second to go for Golden State. And he was spectacular. But tonight was another hot shooting Klay Thompson game from the start tonight. Draymond Green ends up with 15 points. He ends up with 5 boards. He ends up with a big assist on a lob to Gary Payton in the closing minutes, and a hell of a finish by GP2, who was part of the Warriors' closing lineup. You've got a night where Chris Paul goes 0 for 6, is 1 for 21 now on the season from three-point range, and yet puts a positive imprint on the game for Golden State with 13 assists and ends up being a +6. You get a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, who in the second half was awesome. Jonathan Kuminga, a lot of key buckets. You know, Kuminga wasn't really rebounding tonight. He wasn't really defending tonight, and he didn't play well really overall in the first half. But Kuminga in the second half, a lot of those, driving pull-up in between jumpers that I think Kuminga really wants to be a large part of his game, and he was able to knock those down, and the Warriors needed those buckets. A lot of those Kuminga buckets, Moody had a couple of key buckets, and a lot of those hoops in the third quarter were right in moments where it looked like the Thunder were going to potentially build a double-digit lead and possibly be on the brink of running the Warriors out of the building. So the young players, I thought, in this one, key contributors in their own way, even if you look up top to bottom at the end of the night and they didn't necessarily play the best games overall. More than made up for it did Kuminga in the second half. He ended up with 19 points on 9 of 15. So offensively, Kuminga was a force in this game. And his body type and style, he fits with the Oklahoma City players' body type and style, where the Thunder were just putting their head down and attacking the rim. Like, that's something Kuminga was able to do and hit some of those little pull-ups in the in-between game. And the Warriors really, really, really needed it. Andrew Wiggins showed some life with 17. The Warriors needed that. And this, just a hell of a test in the first game of the group play of the in-season tournament. The Warriors in the group with the Thunder and the Spurs and Minnesota and Sacramento. All these Friday and Tuesday night games between now and the end of November are all going to be tournament games, in-season tournament games. So the Warriors 1-0 in tournament play, and we'll keep tabs on everything San Antonio does in other nights where they play. The Kings are not playing tonight. Minnesota, all these teams going to play each other in the group play at different points, and you'll add it all up, and the top team from the group winds up in the final 8 with a shot to go to Vegas that first week of December and play for the in-season tournament championship. I thought the game had juice. I thought the Warriors thrived again. Oklahoma City, like Sacramento, is another building that has a lot of emotion and energy and just a good vibe with the fans that love the game. And I think the Warriors thrive in those hostile environments. I think Curry really thrives in those hostile environments. But it's just a hell of a win. Hell of a win. Tough defense, I thought, down the stretch. The Warriors really stiffened up down the stretch. I mentioned Draymond Green's spectacular pass in the finish by Gary Payton II. The Warriors did get beat backdoor by Lou Dort, but Dort was fouled, split the pair, and so the game was tied before Steph Curry goes down and is able to hit the layup. And then all the controversy over the ruling on the floor and Draymond grabbing the rim and Giddey grabbing the net, and the official saying after the ball game that the touch was basically inconsequential on the ball flight was the part that the Oklahoma City feed had as far as Draymond's impact on it, that it didn't have an impact on the ball going through the cylinder. Therefore, it was allowed. Again, doesn't matter whether Giddey was part of that explanation or not, although I know others said they did hear that. I know it was put on Twitter by people that I think are speculating that Giddey was part of the deal. We'll get you the update on it. Regardless, it doesn't matter. And again, above everything else, I think the result is more than fair. I mean, Curry's shot was going down. Draymond's touch didn't alter anything. And then on top of that, Giddey grabbed the rim. So all in all, it's a fair result, I think, for the Warriors, fair result for the Thunder, and the Warriors have got to be thrilled now. 4 road wins for Golden State on the season as they're able to get out of Oklahoma City. And yeah, initially I thought, oh boy, Draymond touched the rim. They called it a illegal interference there. I thought, the Warriors may not get this call. And so, yeah, I thought they did catch a little bit of a break, but sometimes you have to catch a break for the right call to be made. And I think that's what happened in this particular instance. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's get to Philmo Mike up first here on the phone lines tonight on Warriors Wrap-Up as we keep things going here till 9 o'clock at 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Philmo? Oh, we lost Philmo. All right, well, Philmo's line is open. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570 as the Warriors put 141 up, and they beat Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City by 2. And now the Warriors are going to continue their road trip. 4-0 on the road, 3 more to come at Cleveland, at Detroit. Big one that everybody's going to have their eye on at Denver coming up here on Wednesday, 5 nights from tonight, as the Warriors will go at it against the defending champions. But again, this is just a different feel, different vibe for this Warriors team. They're sticking with. I mentioned this during the game, and I put this one out on Twitter. One of my less controversial tweets of the evening. Put this one out on Twitter that the Warriors felt like they lost this game, or a game exactly like it last year, by about 20 times. Defense optional game, younger athletic team kind of handed it to them a little bit. The offense is along for the ride for the Warriors, but can they get enough big stops when they need to? And it just seemed like, how many times did we see the Warriors close game on the road, almost regardless of opponent, whether it was a veteran team or a younger team with more the youthful energy? It just felt like that was a game that the Warriors didn't win a year ago. And so for them to again flip the script, I think both of these last 2 games are another step toward, hey, this year is going to be different than last year. And when you try to throw everything out and you try to say the vibes are better and the pieces fit better and the young players and the veteran players are much more connected together, there's been a stick-to-itiveness. There's been a relentlessness to the Warriors to where they keep fighting even when things aren't going all that well for them. And I thought they did that tonight, and I singled out Jonathan Kuminga. I thought Kuminga is a perfect example. I mean, he was really bad. Erratic, 3 turnovers in the first half. The Warriors survived, though. This was a survivors type of a game for Golden State. They're getting attacked relentlessly by the younger Thunder going to the basket, and they come up with enough offense to match. They're patient enough to get good shots and go down and score the other end because the Thunder really weren't intent on playing a whole hell of a lot of defense themselves in this game tonight. So the Warriors, I thought, stayed poised in the game tonight, which allowed them to never get too far out of pocket to where they were down. 7 was the most they were down. But anytime it got to a point where it was on the fringe, Kuminga bucket, Moody hits a 3, Clay pops one in. I haven't even mentioned Dario Saric, who had 20 freaking points tonight in 20 minutes. Dario Saric got so buried in the fact that he wasn't a part of the closing lineup, and the whole game, all hell broke loose in the final 4 minutes and really in the final 38 seconds, to where you're not even mentioning Dario Saric tonight, who goes for 20 and knocks down 4 3-pointers. He had 3 in the first quarter. And the Warriors needed every bit of those. 18 of 40 for the Warriors from three-point range, 45%. How about the Warriors getting to the free throw line 25 times tonight? That was key. They ended up with 1 more free throw make on the same amount of attempts as the Thunder. If the Warriors aren't getting to the free throw line tonight, they're not walking out of Oklahoma City with a win. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's give Philmo Mike another shot here on 95.7 The Game. What's up, Philmo?
What's up with it, man? My bad. Shout out to you, JD. Shout out to the board ops and stuff. But nah, man, I've always loved Lou Dort. I'm gonna go a little different angle. Great game. I always loved Lou Dort and his game. And the Thunder got some ballers, man. Shout out to them. They didn't even play with Shea, so that's crazy. And then they had Giddey was going crazy. Shout out my Australians. Australians can really play basketball. Big shout out to Joe Ingles. My last point is I'm feeling the in-game tournament, in-season tournament. They need to go wacky, though. They need to just go all out. They got the crazy court. They need to do the old school ABA colorful ball. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, they're going to be playing in Vegas anyway. They need to go ahead and do some wacky uniforms. And then the teams, and I know Peter Guber going to do this, they need to coordinate some nights where it kind of makes sense to go kind of like wild. You know what I'm saying? I think that'll be really sick, for real, for real. But nah, great game, y'all. Keep doing your thing, JD.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mike. Mike's line open, 888-957-9570. Look, I think there was added juice. I don't know if it was a Friday night in Oklahoma City with a young Thunder team that I think the people in OKC are excited about, and you've got Steph Curry coming through with the Warriors that have won 4 titles and all of that. I think Curry loves playing in that building. I think Draymond and Klay clearly love playing in that building. Game 6 Klay was in that building back in 2016. Curry hit the double bang. The Warriors have had a lot of great moments. They're championship core players in the early part of the dynasty in that building. I was covering the Western Conference Finals in OKC back in 2016. I was at all 3 games there, and it was electric. I mean, it was every bit of Roracle, in the heyday in those. It was every bit of old Arco 20 years ago in Sacramento when the Kings were doing their thing. And so I think the Warriors vibe off of that. The Champions Core players really like that. I think that was part of it. I think the NBA did the thing with the courts just to let everybody know if you happen to be watching one of those games, that's a tournament. That's an in-season tournament game, because I think people were going to find it confusing to know which nights they're playing, because it's basically every Friday. Every game in November that's either a Friday or a Tuesday is a in-season tournament group play game throughout November. And then they're going to cobble up the results, and the top 8 teams are going to be in the actual tournament, which is going to be the first week of December. But I think in a way it was brilliant because the courts definitely stand out. I think some of them are pretty fire. I think other ones are a little rough around the edges, but I think the NBA wanted to put everybody on blast and say, hey, these are the tournament games. Go get it. Go get it. And so I think there has been some added juice. One night in, I wasn't a fan of it, but one night in, I can't really disagree with it because that was an awesome basketball game. Maybe it would have been an awesome basketball game regardless of whether it was an in-season tournament game. We'll never know, but it was an awesome basketball game. So the Warriors get the win by 2. Wyatt in Hawaii here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Wyatt.
How's it going? Hey,
what's going on, man?
Doing good. Wow. What a win. Just want to give my 2 cents about the game. Great second unit. Again, I've been very impressed by our second unit, led by Chris Paul. He's been doing wonders, giving us control of the ball and all that stuff. This is the second game where it came down to 0.2 seconds, and you know what? This game, and the last game, gave me a little bit heart. It got me a little bit nervous, but whatever we can do to get a win, I'll take it. Thanks for taking my call.
That you got it, Wyatt. 888-957-9570. Yeah, the Warriors bench is doing the job. 57-37 tonight. 20 from Saric, 19 from Kuminga, 13 assists for Chris Paul. Moses Moody had 8. Gary Payton II had an efficient 9 and was a key component of the Warriors' defensive strategy down the stretch. You saw Steve Kerr go offense-defense. I thought it was going to be interesting to see who Steve Kerr finished the game with tonight. Would it be GP2? Would it be Kuminga, who I thought warranted possibly finishing? Would he go back to Chris Paul, which ultimately he did go to Chris Paul over Kuminga down the stretch in Wiggins' spot. And then he also went with Gary Payton II, basically in the Looney spot. And then he was going offense-defense. He was putting Wiggins and Kuminga in defensively on a couple of those final possessions for Chris Paul and Steph Curry, knowing he had timeouts, knowing he had the ability to get the offensive players back on the floor if the Warriors needed an offensive possession. So I thought Steve Kerr really managed that all well tonight, and got Peyton out there for his defense, and Peyton was all over the place defensively at the end of the game. And there weren't a lot of stops to be had for the Warriors, but Peyton was there getting a couple of them when Golden State really needed him. And so I think you give him credit for a couple of stops at different junctures. Going up against Dort, he stopped Jalen Williams on one play, and he had the big catch of Draymond's pass. I thought GP2, he's healthy and really looks like the guy that the Warriors had a couple years ago. I mean, I go back to when the Warriors made the trade, and it wasn't so much the Wiseman component of the trade. It was more the, can Gary Payton be healthy enough to make an impact, not only last year, which he did, but also this year and for the remaining years that he signed, this year and next year on that deal after the Warriors brought him back into the fold. And he's shown to this point that he has been able to hold up. And the Warriors, I think, deserve some credit for getting him healthy. And keeping him healthy to this point, because he is an impactful player, and the Warriors read the room on that one, and they deserve the credit, and I think they've earned the credit as far as that one goes. All right, 888-957-9570. John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Dubs get the win, 141-139. In Oklahoma City. Stephen Curry with the game winner with 0.2 of a second to go. It's consecutive games for the Warriors where they get the game winner with 0.2 of a second to go. When you look at Klay Thompson with the jumper against the Kings the other night over at Chase Center. All right, let's get to a couple of things here. Let's get to our extending the three-point line. Sterling, I'm sure we got that ready to roll. Our extending the three-point line, which is brought to you by West Coast Men's Health.
J-Dub gets Curry again. Drives on him. Takes him to the paint, to the rim. Shot knocked away by Wiggins. Loose ball. Curry takes it off the glass. Curry in traffic. Stops and fires away from 25. Curry! Way downtown. Nailed it. Well, he wanted that one.
No doubt. Curry wanted that one. Curry got that one. One of his 5 threes. Steph's made at least 4 threes in every game to this point this season. All 6 of them. 5 of 10. And is Steph Curry, I can't believe I'm going to do this, early MVP for Curry, right? Early MVP leader for Steph Curry. What are we, a week and a half into the season? I said, a week and a half? Yeah, we're about a week and a half into the season. Never too early to start throwing around MVP awards. Hell, if we're starting the in-season tournament, game 6 of the season, I guess we could start talking MVP award. But yeah, Steph has just been spectacular. And in these road games, even more so. The 4 games on the road, and maybe not enough shots for Curry tonight overall, considering how hot he was, but just an unbelievable 38-7 floor game for Steph Curry with 5 threes and got to the free throw line 7 times. Steph Curry there with your extending the three-point line three-pointer for tonight. That is brought to you by West Coast Men's Health, successfully treating men for ED and chronic pain. Visit westcoastmenshealth.com for more details. All right, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570, as it is Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson. Keep this thing rolling here for about another 8 to 10 minutes. As we get you closer to 9 o'clock. Also want to let everybody know we'll have Warriors This Week. We debuted the 23-24 edition of Warriors This Week last week, and it'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. until noon right here on 95.7 The Game. Looking forward to talking to the people tomorrow from 9 to noon. Dan Devone is going to be joining me for that show. Appreciated having Evan Giddings through the first week. Going to mix it up as far as the co-hosts go this year on Warriors Wrap-Up, but it'd be nice to chat with Dan Devone about what was just a thrilling win for the Warriors. Fun game, awesome game to watch, awesome game to talk about. so many different heroes for the Warriors. And again, I think two different ways these last two games. The Warriors, I thought, did it with grit and grime against the Kings, kind of winning ugly when they didn't seem to have any juice coming off the road trip. I thought the Warriors were much more energetic in the game tonight, but the Thunder have a lot of young talent, and they are loaded and relentless in attacking the rim and have a lot of offensive prowess. They didn't even have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this game tonight, who's an all-star player for them, an all-star starting player for Oklahoma City, as he had been out with the injury he sustained on Wednesday night. And they just come away. Oklahoma City's got a real bright future, and I think they are, from a physical standpoint and an athleticism standpoint, a tough matchup for the Warriors. And the Warriors hung with it offensively. It was the defense and the grit and grime Wednesday. I thought tonight it was the offense and the patience and the fluidity. Too many turnovers at times. Steph had too many turnovers at times. Kuminga had a rough first half when it came to turnovers. But the Warriors, I thought, held their mud, hit shots, stayed poised. And, this was something the Warriors really weren't able to do last year. As I mentioned, they would get in these games that would go down the stretch, offensive game, and they just couldn't get the stops they needed. They'd miss one shot, and it felt like that flipped the game. And here in these last couple of games, big shot clock violation the other night before Sabonis banked in that 17-footer. That led up to the Klay Thompson make. But the Warriors really got stops and repeated stops on Wednesday. Tonight, they got the stops in the final couple of minutes, but they were able to, they did it with their offense tonight, is the point that I'm getting at, after kind of doing it with their defense in the game the other night against Sacramento. So, all in all, hell of a win for the Warriors. Everybody will take it. Got a little weird there at the end. Didn't know if they were going to get that call. Although, again, I think it was the correct result when you add up the fact that Draymond's touch of the rim didn't impact the ball, which the referee did explain in the overturn upon review. And then, of course, Giddey grabbing the net, which is a defensive goaltend, which would have counted the basket that it went through. So offsetting penalties, basket counts, Warriors get the win. And they'll take it onto Cleveland and the Cavaliers on Sunday afternoon. All right, keep it rolling here on the phones. We also have our hardest worker of the game coming up here in the next few minutes. But let's roll back to the phones and get to Al in Alameda. Al, the floor is yours, my friend. You were on Warriors Wrap-Up. Good to chat with you. First time this season. Al, how are you?
Yes, hi. Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. First time this year. I know this new format's going on. It got me excited and everything. But I guess I'm more excited our lineup and CP2, I'm sorry. It's just, I used to hate him. Now I love him. He's helping out there. I think our turnovers went down from 60%. I'm just guessing right now. From what, 10%? I'm so serious about this. Jordan Poole not being in there, he's a nice guy, good player, but the turnovers really went down. And we have Zarek in there, CP2, and all this help we're getting. Gary Payne, too. Everybody's contributing. I just like it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, when we have players like 30 plus, like 4 or 5 of them, but still we're in there right now. So I'm looking forward to, I don't want to say too early a playoff, but I'm very happy about our going through right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it. A lot to like for the Warriors in this one tonight, and everybody is contributing. And I think there are a lot of Warrior fans that were a little bit skeptical about Chris Paul, and not even necessarily skeptical as to the impact that he could make, but skeptical to the notion of it's just going to be weird to root for the guy because he's been so hated by this fan base for so long. That to me was more what it was. Not that you didn't think Chris Paul couldn't come in and help. And I think that's the differentiation point between the fan base and the other future Hall of Famers on the Warriors. And I've said this a lot. I'm going to continue to say it. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, those 3 guys have the utmost respect for what Chris Paul brings to the table and how he can not only help them, but help the rest of this team get back to where they want to be. They have a lot more respect for Paul, the player, I think, than a majority of the fans even do. And I think that's where the fans are kind of taking – I think they're taking their cues from the fact that the Big Three had been so welcoming of Paul as much as he had been a villain and all the antics and different things. Like, nobody's wrong that didn't like Chris Paul as a Warriors opponent. I mean, nobody's wrong. I'm not arguing with anybody. He was probably the all-time villain team, with Harden and LeBron and Westbrook and some others throughout the years. But he definitely has the ability to help this team, and I think everybody knows it. And I think, to be as impactful as he's been, despite being 1 for 21 overall from three, I think that tells the story. All right, Luke Mann and Vallejo next here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Luke Mann.
Hold on, sir. We're going to have to put you on hold. Like,
Luke Mann, you putting me on hold? You putting them on hold? I think Luke Mann put me on hold. Luke Mann put me on hold, which means, sorry, Luke Mann. We're going to have to chat another night here because I got to get to the hardest worker of the game. Hardest worker of the game brought to you by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who works hard to serve the community. Are you looking for a career in law enforcement? Learn more about job opportunities at joinacso.com. That's joinacso.com. Alameda County Sheriff's Office, working hard to serve the community. And the hardest worker of the game tonight for me is going to be GP2. GP2, 4 of 6, 9 points, 3 boards, couple of steals, and just one guy on the floor playing with a lot of defensive intensity when there really wasn't a lot of defensive intensity for about 44, 45 minutes of this game. So I give the nod to Gary Payton II. Also, the key finish, GP2 knocked down a 3, and he is one of the many. Steve Kerr stayed true to form with regard to, hey, that fifth player that's going to be out there is going to be matchup and night specific. We've seen Kuminga finish games. We've seen Chris Paul finish games. We've seen Gary Payton II now finish games for the Warriors. We saw Saric finish a game for the Warriors as well. And so, Steve Kerr has said that it is going to rotate, and the best players against the best matchups on that night are going to be the guys that finish the game. And I think Steve Kerr stayed true to that. And if every one of these players is getting opportunities to be out there, I think it's only going to add to the confidence level that those players have on their specific night when Steve Kerr taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, tonight's going to be your night because you're having the best game or you're the best matchup for the opponent that we have tonight to get the job done. And so, Gary Payton II, just bringing a different dynamic to the floor in his 22 minutes. He is the hardest worker of the game for tonight, brought to you by Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who works hard to serve the community. Again, if you're looking for a career in law enforcement, learn more about job opportunities at joinacso.com. Fun show tonight, quick show tonight. That was a long game, but the good news is we're going to keep things rolling bright and early tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock right here on 95.7 The Game. So if you didn't get a chance to get in tonight on Warriors Wrap-Up, give us a call tomorrow on Warriors This Week. It'll be John Dickinson and Dan Devone with you here from 9 until noon on 95.7 The Game, taking your phone calls. Quick note on this one before we call it a night, actually a few notes on this one. A couple of notes from Elias. The most assists tonight, Chris Paul had 13 assists, no turnovers. Most assists without a turnover in a game since turnovers were tracked, going back 45 years now. For a Warriors player off the bench, most assists without a turnover. Stephen Curry, 9th career game winner, 9th career game-winning shot in the final 5 seconds. The last one, you go back to January of 2022, his first career buzzer beater against the Rockets. That's the last time Steph had a game winner in the final 5 seconds. He has one tonight as the Warriors get the win by 2. And also from Elias, this is the first time since 1997-98 the Warriors have had 2 consecutive wins where they either had a game-winning field goal or game-winning free throw in the final seconds of each game. And so, yeah, wow. First time in 25 years. Warriors doing some special things in the close games as they get the job done on consecutive nights, winning by 1 against the Kings, winning by 2 against Oklahoma City. We'll see what they have in store Sunday in Cleveland and Monday in Detroit before they head to Denver and then are back home a week from tomorrow. Thanks to Sterling Bennett. Thanks to everybody in our San Francisco studios. I'm John Dickinson. This was a fun one. Wild finish. Big and much-deserved win for the Warriors as they get the job done, 141-139. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning right here on your home for Warriors basketball. Warriors get the win by 2, and you heard it all right here on 95.7 The Game. Good night.
Oh, I think we're lost again.
Wait, what does that sign over there say?
Caution wildlife crossing?
No, next to it.
If you're 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60. Ouch. I didn't know that.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.